Let's talk about that.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
I have an MBA from UConn.
Good evening and welcome to Ideas at Work and Beyond. We are here this evening. We have an incredible show, an incredible amount of talent. Isn't this true, Ivan?
Oh, absolutely.
This is more talent at one table than I think we've ever had. We have
you and
a high
Ivan.
school group. I mean, I would fear if anything would happen in this room, if a flood would come through with a state senator here and a state representative here, I would fear for the future.
It's like having the president and the vice president. Right?
Are you guys allowed to fly on the same plane together, or should you?
We have to get permission from the uppers, like the governor.
There's a couple that really get it here.
It's
You
true.
obviously have done your research.
We have. We are so delighted this evening to have State Senator Judith Friedman, 22 years in the Capitol.
My pleasure, and it's going to be a pleasure now to turn it over to State Representative Tony Boucher, who will be running for the seat, and I will work really hard to make sure she wins.
And that's our other guest is Tony Boucher.
Thank you.
So we're very, very excited to have you. I appreciate you making the trip out, and we're glad you're here. I know that they've had late sessions up in Hartford.
It's been a tough week because our session actually officially ended last night at midnight.
Okay.
And the last 2 hours of this session are like bills running up and down between the two houses.
Okay.
So that you're actually voting on a lot of things that you may or may not know are in the packages that you're voting for.
Right, okay.
And I think we're all exhausted. So
Absolutely.
This is a commitment we made, and we're keeping in good faith because we wanted the people of your town to know what was going on.
Okay, I think I was speaking with your assistant, and they said, well, we're not sure she can make it tonight. The news went out that they're ordering in dinner, and that's sort of the ominous report.
Right.
If
absolutely.
they're ordering in dinner, it means it's going to be a late night.
Trouble.
And oftentimes after midnight.
And
After midnight.
I
that
don't think
night,
I've gotten home before 2 o'clock in the morning any night this week, including last
and we
night.
actually left at 2:30 one morning.
Yeah.
Got home at 4 o'clock in the morning.
So most of the public doesn't realize that we do. In fact, it's gotten better. I would say I've spent 12 years. Judy has spent 22. In my 12 years in the beginning, there were times when I actually watched the sun come up over my car as I was driving home at 4:45 in the morning.
And
Oh, my
I can
God.
top
it's
that
gotten
one.
better.
So now
There
is it-
was a time when we watched the sun rise when we were in the chamber
Oh,
doing business
you're
during
right.
the anti-income tax sessions.
Oh, I remember those. I was out actually.
Nightmare.
I was out outside the Capitol with my daughter with the little tea bags. We had the.
Thank you.
I believe we were
Thank you.
hanging the governor in effigy.
Right.
Well, we're on the same page because
Yeah.
I have a bumper sticker in my office actually that says repeal the tax. I really feel that things have changed so dramatically from that moment for this state. The fortune of this state have reversed themselves since we've lost that one huge competitive advantage.
You know, it's funny you should mention that because I just picked this up, and Ivan. We need to hear from you as well, but hold on one second. I just picked this up. Tax Freedom Day has finally arrived in Connecticut. Each year, the Tax Foundation, nonpartisan educational foundation, collects and analyzes tax-related. I'll skip ahead. I am disappointed. It's the head of the Republican Party here. Says, I'm disappointed to let you know that Connecticut Tax Freedom Day arrived today, March 8th, May. May 8th,
Today.
2008. The reason I'm disappointed is Tax Freedom Day is in Connecticut is the last Tax Freedom Day in the United States.
Scary, isn't
The
it?
first 128 days we have worked to pay our government taxes. Highest taxes in the state and the nation per capita. Employment growth is stagnant. 18 to 34-year-olds are leaving the state in droves, and it goes on from there.
So tomorrow's the first day when you're actually working for yourself.
That hurts. That
Actually,
hurts.
what is Tax Freedom Day?
It means that all the money you've been earning up until now, between January and May 8th, the government has taken away from you. And although you will continue to pay taxes, that's the point where at least you're going to be keeping some of your money in your own pocket when you spread it out over a year.
So in other words, from
January to May.
now, all of that money was going to pay for governmental labor benefits, agencies, and so forth. Now you actually get to keep it in and put it in your pocket.
Okay, good.
Even though they're withholding taxes, etc., these taxes, when they add up during the period of time of a year, this is your Freedom Day.
Okay. Well, we have another half-hour show with Litchfield Police Department.
Ah.
So we want to spend the time talking about your accomplishments for the year and also the transition from state rep to state senator.
It's quite a challenge.
So let's talk about your
Well,
accomplishments
I've done
this
a
year.
little research.
Okay.
on
good.
Tony Boucher. And your real name, you go by Tony, but
I
it's
do.
really
Antoinette. Yeah.
Antoinette. Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, yes, it's actually very Italian. Antonietta.
Antonia, okay. I mean, to go down the litany of boards and commission, trustee from Weir's Farms, New Canaan Nature Society, 5 school and community-based planning, Friends of the Library, YMCA expansion, Distinguished Legislator Award from the Narcotic Enforcement Officers. It goes on and on and on. And I've done some little research. I've done some research on you too. You want to hear the feedback I've got? Spunky. Lively, a live wire, full of energy.
Well, I'm following the footsteps of someone that has that reputation for being very high energy, very hands-on. It's obvious that I love the work I do. A lot of us have private sector jobs, which I do. I work in an investment firm. I've been in business for 25, 30 years.
Yeah, you said you founded and owned a small business.
Yes.
What kind of a business was it?
We had a small mainframe maintenance company for a period of time. I helped to start a small biotech advertising and marketing firm on the West Coast, but I worked for corporate America before that. I worked for General Electric. In fact, the division that Jack Welch ran years ago when it was in plastics and engineering out of Pittsfield, Mass. So I have a business background. I have an MBA, but currently I work in the financial services industry. A lot of Southwestern Connecticut is involved in that, and since that time I've gotten a Series 7 and 63. I don't trade stock, but I do work in the research and educational arm of an institution that works with nonprofit hospitals, charities, and educational endowments.
Okay. I'm hearing charismatic, energetic, well-rounded.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm a good role model.
good. And you are a Republican.
I am.
Good.
People are surprised. They look at me and say, there's a demographic pattern that people assume, and that's too bad because those assumptions, just as they do, they probably would make assumptions about you as well, about your point of view or philosophy. And I think I do surprise a few folks.
My question is this. How were you able to take your energy, work with the Democrats to be able to get some things done this year, and what are those things?
Well, I have worked together with Democrats ever since I've gotten there, and that's the one thing I have learned. You have to reach across the aisle, make partnerships, work with people that have the same passions about certain issues that you do. And sometimes we can disagree vehemently, but if you grow to know each other and trust each other and like each other, then a lot can get done. I've gotten some wonderful emails back from individuals on appropriations and education that I've been working with that that give you some really positive feedback, but that's because you've been working together. And as I said, you could work at opposite sides on many controversial issues, but if people feel that you've got the right motivations for it, you have the public's benefit in mind. It's just a different way about going about what you're doing. And so I think that has helped a lot. And yes, I've gotten a lot of work done along with Judy Friedman. We have a litany of things we've done together. Bilingual educational reform. We helped to reform the Hartford school system, preschool education. UConn 2000.
Super 7 battles.
The Super 7 highway battles.
The trains,
overhead lines.
keeping the trains running.
Absolutely.
Getting additional trains.
Absolutely. Trains, transportation is hugely important for this corridor, and it's a nonpartisan issue. As you said, what do you feel most proud of? Getting the governor and the administration and Democrats all to be saying that we need mass transit options. Do you know that up till about 3 or 4 years ago,
Connecticut is the richest state, one of the richest states in the United States,
Right.
but transit is
Terrible.
it's terrible.
It's terrible.
It is.
infrastructure is terrible.
Absolutely.
Now you've been in
22 years,
22
and
years.
that's been a prime battle for us.
Why
as
didn't you
So
fix
I-
that?
so
You
I
had
We
22
fixed
years.
it. We did
Okay, here
fix
is.
it.
And
Look,
you've been
there's a mentality.
state rep for how long now?
12 years.
12 years. Now this is the question. 22 years in 12 years. I want to know, what have you done
Take a look
combined?
at combined.
Now the years combined
Right.
to improve the infrastructure in Connecticut.
Okay, one, we've got Route 7 currently being widened to 4 lanes and finished in some places, but not in all places. 2, we've gotten more trains on the Danbury to Norwalk line. 3, we're getting more trains going from New Haven to New York. Those are on order.
Southeast Connecticut, too.
That we've gotten a new train system going from New Haven north or east, which had not been used for years. So we have moved along. We've got Bradley Airport, which has been totally renovated.
You know, an interesting thing,
And
just to
100
interject, $4 $4 a gallon gas, ridership on all
It's
these
increasing.
trains is
Tremendous.
shooting up.
Tremendous.
I mean, we're coming around here.
We've been very lazy about conservation in this part of the state. Unfortunately, as the business started to grow, particularly down in Stamford, people had to move further and further away to be able to afford the housing. And as you move further away, your ride gets longer. We need to do a lot more. This is an unfinished process, but we now have hired a new transportation commissioner who I believe is going to take a look at it globally and is going to insist, because his background is on mass transit, will make a difference in the state of Connecticut. We've had too many road building governors prior to this. All their transportation people were all road builders.
That's right.
Well, you know what? No more road building. Finish, maintain what you've got. But forget adding on to superhighways, forget widening superhighways. Let's get our buses going, let's get our trains going. As far as I'm concerned, we could go back to trolley cars.
Oh, absolutely. And you want a concrete example as well. A concrete example is, I think personally, I helped to bring 100 additional parking spaces at trains, and right now they're digging a hole to put water in one of our train stations that never had a bathroom or water. These are individual things.
Cannonfield?
Yeah,
Cannondale Station.
But you have to advocate personally on that. You know, the first week I was in office, the very first week, I had to confront one of the biggest issues ever that the governor wanted to take and shut down the entire Norwalk to Danbury train line and put buses along Route 7 that was already congested.
This is a governor from your party.
Correct.
Our party,
so I had
right.
to fight him, and I won. And that is, you want to talk about spunky and those sorts of things. I planted
Took on
myself
John Rowland
and won. And won. It was an ugly scene, but it worked out well for our area. And you know what it was? It was symptomatic of one of the things that we've had to fight, and that is there is a perception in parts away from Fairfield County that trains are not intricately involved with the economy. That is an understanding. Speaking of trains, there it is. They did not understand how intertwined it is to our economy, and we had to show them and teach them. This governor, Rel, she is the one that has brought mass transit back into vogue in Connecticut, because she lives around here.
I don't know if you have a question.
Let me backtrack one point. When I arrived in Hartford, you all know where the Housatonic River is?
Yeah.
Well, as far as most people in Hartford were concerned, Connecticut ended at the Housatonic River. And I think we made a very valid, strong point that Fairfield County was still part of the state of Connecticut with a great deal of needs, because in those days, 22 years ago, everybody thought Fairfield County was the Gold Coast, lots of money, they can afford to do anything they want, not realizing that we've got the city of Bridgeport, the city of Norwalk, the city of Stamford, the city of Danbury, 4 major metropolitan areas, plus the suburban areas. We're not all rich. And I think they finally understand that this part of the state does have problems like any other part of the state.
It also has all the jobs. That's a big difference. No longer the bedroom community of New York. We are the job creation part of the state. So that made a huge difference in the way in which they perceived. Another one was...
Who's they?
Our colleagues up in Hartford who come from anywhere but down here.
And Democrats
Anywhere
and
but here.
Republicans
They just figure all
both.
those guys are
Right.
voted in
Get it.
Southern.
They get it.
Let's make a transition here, because I'm going to ask questions that you can ask about your accomplishment this year, and also how you're going to translate that from state rep to Senate. Okay, one question is, when you're dealing with, let's talk about the key major issues in Connecticut. First of all, gay, what is it, civil union or marriage,
Now,
1. 2 is the economy. It's pretty bad.
Yep.
3, illegal immigration.
Okay.
Okay, and of course, housing. Housing
is huge.
It's huge, and basically senior citizens. Not enough housing for senior citizens.
Right.
So I need to know exactly how you'll dealt with it this year, and also what you're going to do once you become a Senate, because the issues are going to be the same.
Well, I'll tell you, I think I would reverse the order of your priority. I think number 1, it is the economy. It is the economy, it is jobs, it's how people feel, pocketbook issues. Very, very, very important. You could put those other issues in a different order as well. I would say housing is huge. Hugely important. Illegal immigration, that's a national issue. We can't do that on a state-by-state basis. It doesn't work. The only things we've addressed are in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. 90% of the folks do not want us to do that. We did defeat those proposals. You can still get an education, but should you advantage someone over someone else that is a legal immigrant, or on an in-state tuition fee.
Children of illegal immigrants?
No, these are illegal immigrants themselves.
Illegal immigrants.
And that was very controversial, but it wasn't
on the order of priority, probably at the top. And certainly gay issues, gay rights, and so forth, I think gay rights are very supportable by everyone there. When it comes to gay marriage, it isn't necessarily the top of everyone's list. I personally feel that a person's personal life should be personal, whether it's abortion, whether it's gay issues. They should have the right to self-determination. But I think the overriding issues for people are what you mentioned was the economy, it's transportation, it's housing, it's senior issues. We are really pushing seniors out. It's also issues with regards to nursing homes. That's huge. Can we provide those services more in their home and so forth?
You know, with these issues, and then I'll let Marty take over. Could you tell us exactly what you accomplished this year with these issues, both of you guys?
Okay, this year, particularly when it came to senior issues and senior housing and senior trying to prevent seniors from going into nursing homes, we passed legislation this year that will develop a pilot program called Greenhouse, which will be a new style of living for senior citizens that will be like their homes rather than going into an institutional facility that we know as nursing homes. What the whole idea is, one, first, if you can keep somebody in their own home, we have something that calls Follow the Money. The money is given to the client so that they can get the services they need in their own home rather than having to be moved out into a nursing home facility. Then we have the pilot that will be the Greenhouse pilot, which will probably both be greenhouse in the terms of conservation, but basically a whole new approach to how we work with seniors. There is no reason why at that stage of your life you can't still be vital, you can't still do a lot of things, and you can't be comfortable with your peers as opposed to being isolated in a room. So that's a very good investment of our dollars. The other end of the spectrum is we've done a lot for disabled people at the same time, making sure that our disabled population is also recognized. Because again, we've come out of the dark ages and we recognize...
Did you put more money in the budget for services?
Some of us did. We did a Republican budget which was never called forward, and we did put more money in for services for seniors, services for the disabled, services for the private providers.
And the Democrats turned it down?
The Democrats wouldn't even let us bring our budget out.
Okay, all right.
And it was really unfortunate because we think we...
Democrats.
Well, it was really unfortunate because we had some good proposals on the table which spent less. You know, you've got to realize we're in a biennial budget. This is the second year of the budget. This is the first time in my 11 terms in Hartford that we have not made any budget adjustments in the second year.
Okay. Now, did you vote for illegal immigration children to go to school?
No, they go to school.
No, for college, right? College
right, it was not this year. It was 2 years ago. It was an amendment. It was last year.
But the issue was introduced again this year.
Yes, I think it was, but it didn't come forward, and it wasn't passed through committee. Last year, it got a vote in committee, but it was stonewalled by some folks. I personally, right now, illegal immigrants do take advantage of our school systems. They do go to our colleges, but I did vote against providing in-state tuition. In other words, giving them an advantage over others because it couldn't be shown that we have the extra capacity.
Okay, real quick. We have a call coming in, but I also would like to talk about Medicaid. Doctors are not taking Medicaids anymore. Okay, and I want to know...
It's those reimbursement rates.
Right. The state is not paying them.
We did raise the rates. We did raise the rates, but what's happening right now, and we try to pass legislation, David Cappiello actually had something that says that you must pay within, and our law is, you must pay within 45 days.
Because you know there's a lot of people suffering right now.
That's right.
Okay,
absolutely.
We'll take this call. Caller, you're in the air.
Yes, I'm very annoyed.
About?
I'm sitting here watching you, and with all the problems the average person has today, the only kind of legislation you are worried about is the gay people. We can't afford gas, we can't afford oil, we can't afford food, and you're concerned about legislation for gay people? Is there something wrong with you?
Ma'am, we have a variety of issues, and that's one of the issues we were talking about.
Well, it shouldn't be an issue right now. We have too many more important issues.
Could I address her issues on gas? Because what we were trying to do was to give, especially with the price of gas right now, in our budget, what we had actually done was give everybody a holiday from gas taxes from June 1st to September Labor Day weekend. And also, there's an additional tax that is hidden right now on the gross receipts. We were trying to adjust that. This is a problem which I think our legislature has really really failed to address, as well as other problems, the home heating oil problem and the cost of what it is to maintain our living. So I am with you. I think those are the issues that we have on our front burner, but for some reason or another, the powers that be that run the legislature right now are not being tuned into that.
Okay, real quick, a quick announcement, and then we'll be back in about 30 seconds.
See, people are...
I'm Austin Greenfield. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, students teaching students at a Bethel Middle School.
And we ended the day with some sunshine, but wet weather is on its way. I have more details later on.
We'll have all of that coming up for you at the bottom of the hour.
Welcome back to Ideas at Work and Beyond. We're talking with State Senator Judith Friedman and State Representative, soon to be...
Well, no.
She's got to get elected.
No,
She's
that's
got to get
right. We don't
elected.
want- We're
Okay.
very superstitious about that.
Right.
Okay.
First, she's going to be nominated.
No, first we try to
First,
get
she's
her
got to
change her
get the
mind.
nomination, and then she's got to win the election.
Well, we try to change her mind quite a bit.
Let me just, Senator Friedman,
Yes, sir.
22 years in the state capitol. You started out with hope, aspirations. Looking back after 22 years, what are one or two accomplishments that you really feel benefited the residents of the state of Connecticut? And what are maybe one or two things you wish you would have done or would not?
You know, I got into this race because of Super 7. My battle was to
22 years ago.
prevent a Super 7 from happening.
Okay.
And I had the backing, and Reading was not in my district in those days. It was Wilton, and it was Ridgefield. And that was the cause célèbre. And I think we have made major changes in stopping a Super 7, but also enhancing the current Route 7. So that's always been an issue.
Super 7 was going to be a
major
huge
super highway coming down from Danbury to Norwalk. You can see the beginning of it in Norwalk.
Yeah.
And it was going through rural Wilton in those days, rural Ridgefield
So
in those
stopping
days.
that you wanted to do
was a
and you
major
accomplished that.
accomplishment.
Okay.
I think the other thing of which I'm most proud is in my freshman year, my second year of my freshman year, I was able to get built into our health insurance policies mammography for women. Prior to that, it was not included in every health plan. And to me, that was a very critical health issue because we save money when we can pick, not only money, but we save family hardship if we can pick up breast cancer early. And that was a real thrill. My other areas where I've really spent a lot of time has been in education. Obviously, my background is education. I am the mother of charter schools in the state of Connecticut. I chaired the education committee. I was responsible and worked with Tony and a lot of other people to get UConn 2000 going.
Right.
And we had a major accomplishment because we turned the course. Our kids now want to go to the University of Connecticut. Prior to that, they had no desire, and I don't blame them. It was the ugliest campus you could have seen.
Yes.
Flip the script.
Right.
What are one or two things that
Well, there are
if you had
always-
it to do over again, you might have done
Well,
differently?
it's not what I would have done, it's what I have had time to do, because there's always things you want to do and time runs out, and which is there's time for me to leave and time for somebody else to pick up the ball. I still feel we need to do a lot more in the area of making people aware of what the state has in a system of institutionalizing our severely handicapped people, and I'm not meaning that in an institutional way. It's we have a state system and we have a private system, and the two are competing with one another. If I had had my way, I would have privatized the whole thing. Because the people who are in the state system are earning the greatest amount of money and costing the state the greatest amount of money. The people in the private system are doing it very cheaply, but they're not getting paid back for a lot of what they're providing.
Okay, we only have a few more minutes left. This is your time to go ahead and campaign now. So
Why should people
I mean,
vote for
from state to Senate, the issues are the same. So why the Senate? Why not stay in
Well, I've spent 12
job.
years and working alongside with Judy of many things that we are very proud of. And I actually started on a local Board of Ed and moved up to a Board of Selectmen, and then was actually given the honor of serving on the State Board of Education, where I really got involved with the whole Sheff versus O'Neill, the Hartford school system, trying to fix that. And I was told at that time that if I took on a state rep seat, that I might be able to effect more in the way of education, to actually implement policy. And it was a good transition, actually, from having local information and knowledge and background to be able to be effective on a education committee, on a budget committee, appropriations, because you knew what was going to happen to your towns. You had that knowledge. Well, I've had 12 years now of being on many committees, being ranking members of many committees, and learning the process, learning lawmaking, dealing with constituent problems, learning all the agencies and the governor's office. I was ready to retire. But this new opportunity that Judy brought to me gave me some motivation and incentive.
How did you do that? What was it? A phone call? Did you put out feelers? How does that work?
When I decided, and this
I'm
is about
moving on. I want you to
six
take my
weeks
seat.
ago, I called Tony and I said, Tony, I'm really thinking about not running again. You and I have worked well together. I said, I know there are a lot of people that may be interested, but from my vantage point, I want somebody to be able to walk in on day one, pick up the ball and carry it and go forward with your own agenda, not my agenda, but understand the process. And Tony said, oh, no, you got to run, you got to run. And I said, no, I'm not going to run. My mind is made up. And she said, well, let me think about it, because, of course, giving up her seat meant getting somebody else.
Oh,
What made you decide not to run?
Part of it was the death of Peter Yanity really had an impact on me. Now, you know Peter from Ridgefield.
Very well.
Peter worked in a primary against me my first election.
Worked against you?
Against me, because he was supporting a Ridgefield candidate.
Right, okay.
I won. Peter and Beth and John Fry became my closest allies in Ridgefield. And there was just something about the loss of Peter that had an impact on me. And I said, you know, my husband and I have a lot of things we have yet to do. This is probably the time for us to do them. And I gave it a lot of thought from that point on.
Wow.
And as I said, once I decided, I decided. And when she said yes, the chips fell into place.
Being one of your constituents, I don't even know if you remember, but I came and visited Hartford once. And you very graciously brought me into this. Have you ever been in the Senate chamber?
Absolutely.
There's like 50 chairs, all in a...
36.
Or 36, I'm sorry. 36 chairs, all in a big room.
Circle.
It's incredible. So she said, oh, Marty, come on in. And showed me how, made me feel a part of it. It was very great. So we very much appreciate your service over the years.
Well, I have been very lucky and honored, and I thank you.
Thank you very much for your 22 years of service, and hopefully you will transition easily to the new seat.
Well, this is the fun part, because I don't have to learn the process.
Exactly.
Instead, I can learn the towns which I've already been working with for some time. New Canaan I actually represented for 6 years, so that would be like coming home. And I've worked closely with Judy in Westport, and know Ridgefield very well from fighting those issues together, a lot of them. And that's the part I love. I love the part of meeting and learning the people in the towns and getting involved locally. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully I can bring a lot of that advocacy, that knowledge, and the experience to for their best interests.
If people want to get in touch with you, is there an email site?
Sure.
How
right now I have repboucher@aol.com, and that's
How do you spell Boucher?
Well, it's Boucher, pronounced Boucher. I'm actually Italian, but my husband of 38 years. He comes from a French-Canadian background and Irish background, Americans, of course, but we're all immigrants of some place.
Tony, I just want to know how to spell your name. I don't need it.
Okay, we got to go.
B-O-U-C-H-E-R.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you very much, and please, I know some issues are more important than others, but every issue is important.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what it is, whether you agree with it or not.
To someone, it's their most
important. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Oh,
Okay?
thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for coming.
You
Okay, could you introduce the next show, please?
Yes. Coming up, please stay tuned, because coming up we have a very exciting and interesting issue talking about the Ridgefield Police Headquarters expansion. And members of the Ridgefield Police Department will be here to present the issue, and it's going to be up for a vote next Tuesday.
All right,
So
we'll
stay
be
tuned.
right back.
Now covering Danbury, Bethel and Ridgefield local news with Austin Greenfield and weather with meteorologist Jared Root.